Good evening, everybody. Welcome to League of Extraordinary Inventors. I'm your host, Mike from Faraday Research. It is Free Energy Friday. It is February 6th, 2026. Welcome to the show. It's a snowy and freezing night here in Toronto. And
And a very warm night in Las Vegas. Sorry.
yeah, rub it in. Anyways, yeah, welcome to the show. Live chat is open. Um, Anybody has any questions, comments for our panel tonight, please do so in the live chat. And also, if you really like the show, please shoot me a super and show support for the show. And I also got my links. I'll put them in later on for my Patreon account. And also, you can become a member of the Faraday Research YouTube channel as well and get over 1,300 videos. I've hit a benchmark now of over 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel, so I'm kind of proud of that. And the channel's seen about 500,000 views since I've started the channel. So yeah, we're on the up and up. I'm still kind of blacklisted. I'm hovering about 3,760 subscribers, and it seems to be like they're like pushing me down. I know I'm getting more subscribers, but it's not getting tallied, and it's really pissing me off.
Yeah, they unsubscribe people. It happens to me all the time. It's horrible. It's like it let me get up to 9,830, and then I'll log in the next day and it's 9,500, and that's it. I'm like, what?
See, I
Where?
have a theory on that, though. You know why that happens? I think it's the type of science that we produce that our audience needs to be refined, and so they refine it. It becomes less and less.
Well,
You
they're
know?
trying to knock us in the algorithm. So when it comes up, say for searches for say like free energy, they try to basically block us from getting us posted in that search. So anybody who's looking for free energy stuff, they type it in, but they because they're screwing with your algorithm, your channel doesn't pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
So
It's all a scam. They're scamming us.
Yeah.
They're stealing our
Yeah.
ad revenue. They're unsubscribing people. Resubscribe every day, people.
and then you could go. And then you
My
could go
phone's
to-
dying, so I'm gonna come right back with my computer in a few minutes. Sorry to interrupt. We'll see you guys and probably
right.
later in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, like I was saying, like you could log into a YouTube account that has cat videos, and they got 60 million views. So, like,
Think of it like this, Mike. It's a pool of data. It's just all sorts of data of information, and anybody could use any algorithm to retrieve whatever they want. For that. So some systems will say use that data to see audience traction. Like how many people like talk on a chat. This that it because this is data for them. You understand? It's like they take that information and then analyze it. If they see somebody repetitive, okay, who are they? Why? Because it's a very small niche of what free energy is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're interested on knowing who is interested in that as well.
Yeah.
It's not just about views and subscribers
No
and
doubt.
this and
But
No doubt.
I figured it out this week. What's going on? It's all the same pattern. The same thing with judges. In the legal system and judges they have discretion, and the bills if you steal something you can have a sentence of I don't know 6 months to 2 years. Let's put it that way. But
Yeah.
there's a margin, there's a discretion, so it depends on the mood of the judge. But the judge will just minimize and maximize if he likes you based on your characteristic, like your political party, for example, and things like that. So if he doesn't like you being on the left or the right, then he's just gonna arrest, give more a heavier sentence for
Yeah.
people on the left or the right. It's all about statistics. So it's the same thing with your video statistics. they're trying to minimize people like you. The same thing.
Yeah, like for example, like one of my videos has 8,000 views is my end machine. The Bruce De Palma recreation I did. That video I did well over 3 years ago, and right now it's the highest viewed of all my videos, which is really interesting. So it's even the type of experiments that I worked on, I noticed I was getting a lot more views. Like the Gerard Morin stuff, I got great views. The end machine, I got good views. So even the type of content that you're putting out, specific, certain content, you'll get more views. So yeah, am I after views? Yes and no, but I'm doing what is on my plate right now. You know what I mean? So I'm not really specifically gonna just do Bruce De Palma videos, just to get the views. You know what I mean? It's whatever I'm working on.
Yeah.
I suggested once to a friend that to get more views that to search his channel from different Wi-Fi routers from like public
Yeah,
ones,
yeah, yeah.
because then it goes into their servers.
Libraries.
Their servers are, it's a like a corporate structure. It's like on the NASDAQ,
Mm,
and so they have a lot of funds that they could add, push anything forward that is running in their, data, like,
yeah,
portals. And
yeah,
so, like go to like one of the telecommunications, and how they have all the little things displayed. You could play with the whatever iPads, iPhones, computers. Like
yeah,
use that and search yourself on YouTube and just
yeah.
let it
Uh,
cycle in there. Yeah,
bef-
of
before I get before I
course.
forget, sorry, Lulu. Before I forget, I'll just introduce our panel. We got Philip in the top right corner. We have Lulu in the bottom. Sorry, top right corner, Philip, and bottom left corner we have Lulu, and the bottom right corner is Elijah Coakley. We had him on the show about a month ago, I think, and really knowledgeable. So I'm really happy to have him back on the show tonight. And
Yeah, thank
yeah,
you for
we'll
having
be
me.
yeah, awesome. So we're going to start off with Philip because Mr. Philip's got to hop on an airplane at 4 a.m. So he has to get to bed. And so we'll start with Philip. He has something to show us tonight, and then he's going to go bye bye because he's going flying. So,
Yeah. Thanks. Remember, I did finally get my cylindrical magnet, so I
right,
was able to perform the experiment with it. But it's non the results are non-deterministic. I need to redo it with a rectangular magnet. This way, the results are going to be more precise. I do have interesting results, but they're not there's a margin there, a margin of error. It's but I'll show it anyways. Uh,
all right. You going to share your screen or?
yeah, that's it. My computer's a little slow every time I want to share. All right.
Sorry, I had to shut off the vent behind me here.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So I got the cylindrical magnet. We can see the weight is 90.218 milligram. Well, no, 90 grams dot 218 milligrams.
Right.
The first on the first side. Now I'm gonna rotate it. So now it's 90 grams dot 252 milligrams. Now it's 90 grams dot 271 milligram.
So what pole is facing us right now?
Yeah, so I put it sideways as well.
Right.
I don't know which one is the south or in the north.
Yeah, you have to get a
positive
get a
and negative.
compass. Get a compass, and you can check it like that.
Yeah. And now it's 90 grams, the 271 milligram again. 289.
That's the highest I think it has went.
No, not yet. No, it's 90, the 261 milligram.
Right. So it's showing that a matter of what the pole is relative, say, to the Earth, because the Earth has got a magnetic field around it, so your magnet is basically reacting with the pole of the planet. Like the pole of the planet.
No, the pole of the planet is way too weak.
That's right.
It's the acceleration. The magnetic field has its own gravitational field in it, and it adds to the acceleration. It varies. It varies on which side the acceleration will vary because the magnetic field varies around the magnet. Then the gravitational acceleration will vary as well.
So okay, so say if the magnet, the North Pole is facing up, would it be less weight or more weight?
Yeah, that's. I think it's the. That's what I want to test with the rectangular magnet. I'm gonna have more precise results.
This is my theory. So kind of write this down. If the North Pole is facing down towards the ground, you're going to have less weight. If the North Pole is facing up towards the sky, you're going to have more weight.
Yeah, and the side on the side is different.
It would make sense because like the gravity well and the bottom hemisphere is heavier than the northern hemisphere.
I'm just taking a shot in the dark here. I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but my hunch is if the north is facing towards the sky, your weight increases. If the North Pole's facing down, your mass is going to decrease. That's just
it's similar to the.
It could be wrong.
It's similar to the experiment I did before with the spherical magnet. The weight was different, but I need to use a rectangular one. It's going to be a lot more precise than these round ones. So that's food for thought. Now this time is 90 gram dot 308 and 10 milligrams. So that's the highest right now.
Now, would it also depend on Mike makes a good point. Does it depend on what pole of the Earth are you in the northern hemisphere or in the southern hemisphere? Will the results change?
Yeah, that's a good question. I need to fly to Brazil to test it out at some point.
Yeah. Anywhere in South America. So, as long as you're below the equator, I think you'll
Yeah. But I don't have the magnets anymore because I don't need them anymore. I just did the test and they're quite dangerous. If I move my stuff, I don't want anybody to be hurt.
So who would get rid of magnets? They're the fun things. I collect these things. I'm always like, okay, this is a cool magnet, and this one's cool, and this one could never throw magnets away. Those are the cool things.
Yeah, no, it's pretty dangerous, and I can tell you that if you
create your own gravity well, you create your own gravity well in space because you're condensing so much magnets, in one place, could dilate time.
Yeah, exactly.
Create a local time dilation. That'll be fun.
What I learned is really cool about magnets is that they can pulse. and they can invert their polarity, and you can pulse them like Sparky Sweet to where the pulses provide way more magnetic energy than the base level magnetism.
Right. So you would be like, if you put a counter magnetic force on it, you can cause, the permanent magnet to go into oscillation, which increase the amplitude of the wave. So, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Like
And
I learned barium titanate is a phase conjugate mirror, and it's also a ferroelectric material, right? And so
Yeah.
like you could have different niobium batteries, like potassium niobate or lithium niobate, and those are also phase conjugate mirrors that are ferroelectric.
Yeah, I have quite a bit of barium titanate. I was able to get, a mason jar. I got one that's about half full. It's probably worth about $2,000 or $3,000 worth. So
Wow.
barium titanate's expensive. And I got the nano powder, so it's even more expensive.
We'll try putting it on some plates or something and making a phase conjugate mirror out of it for negative entropy. And if you pulse at 100 to 400 hertz, it might make some gravity modulation.
Or maybe a standing wave? Maybe would that cause interference with an AM band radio?
Yeah, it should, but that would be like in the higher frequencies, and that would be more in your energy domain. So
Okay.
you'd want to go lower frequencies for your gravity domain.
Okay. Now, if I were to hook up an oscilloscope, would I be able to hook up an oscilloscope to this so I could actually see some kind of result?
Well, you're not going to see the scalar wave component that is the compression of the matter itself, but you might see some variation in how the charges move depending on your circuit, right? So you'll see like the frequency changes possibly or amplitude changes of the electromagnetic component, but
Right.
it really depends.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think how I would be able to prove that's what's happening. So I need a testing device to actually, you know what I mean, test and actually know that that effect is actually going on. It's not always the easiest.
Are you
all right,
like
Judge,
talking about an?
I'm,
Well,
I'm
have a
gonna.
safe
Sorry,
trip.
sorry, Lulu.
Have a
I'm just
safe.
gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay,
gonna go
Have a
Philip.
so you
safe
Thanks a
guys
trip.
lot.
can.
Yeah. Have a safe trip to San Diego, and we'll chat hopefully next week.
Thanks. I'll send you postcards. Meanwhile.
Yeah. Okay.
Good
All
night.
right.
Safe
Have a
travels,
safe
guys.
trip. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
I lost my train of thought.
No, Elijah, you were saying something, like some kind of way of testing this to actually show the effect.
From my experience using an oscilloscope with my DeFi oscillator build, like it basically caught compressed into a single dot on the screen and would not move no matter the sweep time I selected. And the only way it would move is with the orientation of the O-scope around my frequency generator and my water cells. So like if I rotated it around the room but kept it pointed towards those water cells of the sacrificial anode, which is positively charged, then it would stay in the center. But if I rotated the O-scope in that position, it would kind of go across the screen until it came off the screen. And that's the only way I was able to like see the effect of the scalar waves outside of um, physical light like being disturbed. Like my LEDs look like croaking frogs in a pond,
And that,
and
I think,
whatnot.
this is a good point because, if we're dealing with this exotic, energies or scalar waves or whatever, it's what device do we use to test it? So that's kind of a problem for a lot of experimenters, is finding a way to actually um, test this stuff accurately, because nobody has, a gravity test, meter or a scalar wave meter. These meters haven't been developed. So how do you test what you're doing, right?
Well, I have a
So
question. Wouldn't your compass still, like, the compass would shake if, you know, it would for momentarily, like, it would change the arrow, with these waves. So if you had a bunch of them, like, and I was thinking actually this for my own, experiments, getting like the fish lines and hooking those little round, the little round compasses, but the ones that have like the swivel in them,
right.
yeah, and just dangling them and having a camera from top to see how the field moves. And when it's, do you
Hmm.
understand? So maybe it could be, but I don't know if you can attach a sensor to these things to read it digitally. But with a camera, it could be viewed, and you would have all these little ones, and to show you the field, because the
How
little
about the
arrows
late
would.
now scalar waves? Would they affect a laser?
Yeah, they can. Just like how, in theory, light bends. It's really going in a straight line, but the ether is what bends, right? And so it follows the straight line, but you might see it in a third person view bending from your perspective. I know the Russians have a lot of this stuff figured out, and
Yeah.
Tom Buden has written about it. I just need to read more and learn more of like how to build my detectors, because I've
Right.
thought about that before too, and I was thinking about using like LEDs on like a wand where the wand is like an antenna, and then
Right.
like if I see a drift velocity, it could make a forward voltage to light up the LED, and then I know the intensity based off of my proximity to something and the light of the LED that's lighting up. So like green has a certain value, and so does yellow and red, and so on and so forth, right? So
Right. Interesting. That's
I
really
found that yellow lights up the most difficult with scalar waves, but red, green, and blue light up just fine.
really.
Yeah, and yellow has like the hardest time burning out, but also the hardest time lighting up. And I have no idea why, but
Interesting. It has to
Blue
do, I
blue was
guess.
the hardest achievement. It took the inventor like over, I don't know, 20 decades.
Yeah.
Not 20,
Yeah.
yeah,
The blue
2 decades,
LED,
2 decades, yeah,
apparently was really, really hard.
yeah.
And go figure, it's probably the most widely used uh,
We
color
wouldn't
spectrum
we
out
wouldn't
there.
have the technology that we have today if it wasn't for the blue LED light, the little blue diode,
Yeah. Yeah. Light emitting
yes,
diodes. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I lit them up pretty easy.
Well, they did, just a regular light, and then they did. I think the second color they did was green, and then they got the red to work, and then for the longest time they were trying to get the blue LED, and finally they did it. So I have a lot of blue LEDs that I use testing for my cells. And speaking of which, I found a new material, a new super material, and I found it in the most unlikely place possible. And this could be a total game changer for making a solid state or quasi battery. And when I found out, I was just like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. I was just like, really? So I'm going to get that material this week. It's readily available, and it could be a big game changer in my quasi solid state battery design. So this will make, the cell working, say, from a few months to maybe 5 or 10 years of life to increase the longevity of the cell greatly. So, yeah, pretty.
What is that material?
Okay, I'll give you a hint. Uh, when I found out what the material was, I almost peed myself. There's your hint.
Hmm.
I know what it is, but I'm not gonna say. But I know what it is.
Go ahead, say it.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna say. It's
That's
yours
Is
to
it just
say, but I
paper?
know what it is.
What's that?
Is it paper?
No.
It is a material. It is I guess you could say it technically when you get it, it's actually in a powder form. Uh, but when exposed to water, it absorbs water uh, basically about 400 times. It absorbs water 400 times to its original mass.
You're
So
not talking aerogel, are you?
it's similar to an aerogel. It's similar to an aerogel, but it's widely used in a product that pretty much every family uses at some point in their lifetime.
Not
Okay.
some like polyethylene glycol 3350 or something like that. I don't know.
Nope. Okay. I'll okay. I'll stop beating around the bush. Here's your last hint. It's something you put on a baby.
Oh, okay. So it's like the diaper material or the baby powder or something. That diaper
It's
material that
what's
expands.
it's what's inside the diaper.
Interesting.
Yeah. So apparently, this material has been tested in very um, highly funded uh, battery, manufacturing and research division. So the material is called sodium polycratinate. Sodium polycratinate. Actually, I'll put it in the.
Sodium is very interesting because it's one of the few things that has a very narrow band gap with its photoelectric effect. And
Okay.
you can spread that band gap when you expose
Okay.
it to a magnetic field, and it'll also
So
amplify.
I just put it on the screen there. That's what the material is called. So it absorbs water. Some of them up to 400 times. I heard as high as 800 times. It will absorb water.
It's like the
So
Orbeez, the Orbeez.
yeah,
Like it's
those.
a yeah, the little
Yeah,
Orbeez. Yeah.
gels. Yeah, yeah. So it's similar to that material. It comes in different forms. The one that I need is in the powdered form. So I have to incorporate that into my solid state matrix. And if I do that, it becomes a quasi battery. It's a semi solid state. So basically, you got the solid material in it with a 3D matrix of the sodium poly. I can't pronounce that word right. Somebody help me.
Polyacrylate?
Acrylate, polyacrylate. And what it'll do is, as you're making it, it will hold the moisture in. Okay, it'll hold that moisture in. So now you got a semi or they call it a quasi solid state. So it doesn't dry out. So there's a liquid matrix and it's crystalline. So it actually forms a 3D matrix inside, which helps the ion transport from the anode to cathode. So basically, it doesn't dry out. It doesn't lose that ion transport. So this material will hold that liquid inside and keep it in there.
Oh, I get it. You're spinning some water molecules, and the water molecules moment of inertia inverts polarity. So you have a dipole switch, which is your displacement current density. So that's why it's amplifying it and make that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got to get a diaper, dissect it, get the material out, and I got to come up with a solid state electrolyte to go with it. So I don't know if it's going to be in layers or if it's going to be actually mixed together as one. And as it's forming in my dish is when that expansion's going to actually take place because it's going to puff up, you know, and how to control that and know how much to use. So my proportions are going to have to be just right. Otherwise, instead of having a thin electrolyte, I'm going to have a big puffy pad about that thick. So I got to be very careful on how much I actually use, right? So, but if I get it right, My cells will last for years and years because they won't dry out. So
Could you make like the thickness of the layers set with like some sort of clamps or something, and then basically have a mesh around the edges to where
right.
it
So
basically just squishes out the sides that you cut off the residual?
well, see, I got the glass petri dishes here. Hold on, I'm gonna take off my background here so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So I got the petri dishes, so I'll actually pour the slurry in here. And as it's setting, it's probably going to expand and go higher. Now I could put something on top and compress it down to kind of limit the amount of expansion. But when it expands, is it going to contract around the diameter? I don't know yet. So that I have to do a lot of experimenting with this to get it right. But so I got the glass petri dishes, and that's about the size of the solid state electrolyte I want to make. It's about 4 inches in diameter. So that's really interesting. Can't wait to try it out. And then
I bet
go ahead.
I bet if you put a magnet on one side of it, specifically like one of those niobium magnets that's phase conjugate mirror, it
Right.
would probably amplify the effect because of the sodium atom. It's gonna smear that band gap, and it's also gonna amplify the photonic interference with that atom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's food for thought. Yeah, I'm going to try it out definitely this weekend. I wonder if they have, those, the blankets you can buy for the kids. So in case they wet themselves at night, those blankets that you can buy. It's like a diaper, but in a blanket. I could maybe buy one of those. It might have that material in it.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a white powder. I know there is ones they were talking about that actually look like a gel polymer, and I've seen them before in a diaper. They look like little balls, and they're like gel. But anyways, when they get the water in it, they just puff right up.
I believe some feminine products could also have that stuff in there.
Yeah, oh yeah, like the pads for women's pads and stuff like that. So I'll just kind of read a little thing here that the chat did. Sodium poly, help me out again. I keep screwing up this name.
Polyacrylate.
Thank you. This is a magic ingredient that looks like tiny white crystals when dry. It can absorb between 30 to 800 times its weight in liquid, depending on the solidity and transforming into a solid gel. Um, let's see. Disposable diapers almost exclusively use a mixture of sodium picretinate and fluff pulp as an absorbent core. Um, what was the other thing here I wanted to read? So yeah, like 800 times. That's a lot of it. Wow, that's pretty impressive for absorption. So it's a polymer. It's actually considered a polymer, absorbent polymer. Yeah.
And you could even try doping the solution with different things like electrolytes, like sports drinks,
Well,
and put that in there.
yeah. Well, that's I have my concoction that I've come up with that seems to have very good results. It is when it dries out is the problem. So I'm going to use that. Plus, I'm also going to use another. Um, what do you call it? Like, it's not a polymer. Well, yeah, it's a polymer PVA. And I'm going to add the PVA to it to kind of encapsulate the entire thing. And PVA is used widely in solid state technology. So, yeah.
What if you
One
use
time,
silica beads? Like this, the little beads. If you
Probably
crush them,
similar.
yeah,
Yeah.
crush them to like make them fine powder, and then use them as a layer.
Yeah.
They should be absorbent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably similar to what's used in diapers. Yeah.
Like the metasilicate can be used as like almost a broadband amplifier because it's so amorphous, it'll get a bunch of different band gaps. And then like maybe that doping material could spontaneously polarize the dielectric. Like one time I made a peg cell with polyethylene glycol 3350 and just sports mix, and I was measuring it, and it went from like 1.5 volts to like 45 volts, and then it went up to like 75 volts, and it did it for a whole minute,
Hmm.
and then it
Went up
stopped,
that
and then
high?
went back. Yeah, on my multimeter.
What was your cathode?
I had aluminum foil, and then I had like activated carbon on one side that was like
Okay.
welding blanket, but the welding blanket didn't work so good. I think it would be better to have like a activated carbon rod or something like that.
Yeah. 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 And you got 45 volts out of it?
Yeah, it went up to like 75 volts, and
Oh,
the effect lasted for like a good solid minute. And I was measuring between the polyethylene glycol itself and the aluminum foil, shoving one probe in between like two foil layers because I had like folded it up multiple times.
okay.
And those were my two measuring points. And I don't know what caused it. And like I've had some spontaneous polarization events happen, but nothing that large. And the only time it happened that large, I had some sort of like sports mix in it, like you get for like hangover cures or just like electrolytes, you know what I mean?
I heard something crazy. I don't know if this is true or not, but know that drink Monster? Somebody told me, or I've seen on the internet, it could be total BS, that it's radioactive. There's a radioactive component to it. That color, if you put it up to a black light, it glows.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, like
What's the drink again?
Monster. No, the big
Monster.
cans.
Oh, just Oh, wow.
Yeah, apparently, if you take that drink and you pour it in a glass, shut the lights off, and put a black light on it, it'll glow. And if it glows, that means there's a radioactive isotope in that drink. Now, here's another one. Speaking of which, I'm glad I brought it up. A friend of mine in the building has pre 1900. Some people might have heard of it. They're called Vaseline glass, and it was made with
Uranium glass.
uranium.
Yeah.
He has one, and he has not just one. He has several of them, but the one he has apparently had the highest percentage by weight of uranium in it. It had 20% uranium in this glass.
Man, this girl that on Marketplace was selling her grandmother's old china, like for maybe a couple $100. We're talking a china full of uranium glass. She like didn't know what to do with it. She's just like, if you want it, come pick it up. But yeah. Like here in Texas, it's so popular. It's so popular. Yeah.
You can buy these you can buy these online right now, but they're a lot less uranium in it. I think it was before 1930 they were making them. They were like an orangey red color, and a friend of mine in the building has one of these, and I know it's old. It must be 1900, maybe even before. It was exactly that color.
I thought they were green.
Those are the new ones. No, that's the newer ones. The original ones that came out had the most uranium. They were orange red color, and they were 20% uranium by weight. They don't make them anymore. Like this, that ended, back in the 1930s. Anything made after 1930 only had 1 to 2% uranium in it. And the way you test it, you put it in a dark room, shine the black light on it, it glows. That's the uranium giving off the light. So
I think I had a set of bowls I would eat out of that were that uranium ceramic.
but I wanted to test it, eh? So my Geiger counter is at my locker. Well, the last month it's been like minus 30 here. So last week I went and tried to open up the friggin' lock and the thing's like frozen solid. I'm like, oh man, really? And even if I did get locked de-icer, I'm not guaranteed to get this thing open because it's been so cold.
My truck door lock froze the other day, and I had to basically take a lighter to my key and then shove it in my keyhole, and that did it.
Yeah. What state do you live in?
I live in Oregon.
Oh, you're in Oregon. It's that cold?
Yeah, it's been super warm here. It's kind of weird.
Oh. Yeah, it's been like, right now it is 2 degrees Fahrenheit right now. 2 degrees Fahrenheit in the city of Toronto right now. That's cold.
Yeah, it is.
You'll be jealous if I tell you how much it is here.
Don't go there. You're rubbing it in. I know you are. You got that smile on your face.
I mean, I looked at the temperature while you were telling yours, and I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't tell him. Never mind.
No. Yeah, don't bother. I'm suffering here. Oh man, I can't wait till the winter's over. I'm like, I'm praying for like March, April weather. Because not even that too. Like the sun still sets early. Like here it's now setting about 5:30, where just before Christmas, it was setting at like 4:40 in the afternoon. Like it was dark.
So early. Too early.
Oh God. Oh, I hate that. I hate it.
Well, just use this time to relax and enjoy life. Enjoy,
insane.
use it that way.
Yeah. Oh my God. This winter is making me go insane. It's like this is the worst winter that I can remember in, I would say, 20 years. Yeah. At least 20 years. I think the last bad winter we had was 1999. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
Have you heard of the woodpeckers that the Soviets made?
Yes, I do. I know very well about the woodpecker. Yes.
I have an inclination that's kind of what's going on, but more intensely because the sun has a lot of sunspots on the equatorial plane that keeps bursting when it comes our way.
Speaking of which, the sun, on Tuesday, we had an X 8.11. So,
and it was facing the earth, like it was facing us.
kind of off to us, but we still got hit by a bit of it. Yesterday we had a CME hit the earth, but that was an X4 that hit us, so that was pretty low. But still on the scale, it's considered quite high. So you could still have radio, satellite disruptions. So it can still cause some havoc.
I think the end of December, beginning of January, we went through an S4 storm that was the strongest in 26 years. And then the week before that, it was the strongest in 20 years. But luckily, they were positive charge storms, so they weren't as destructive with our grid. But once that negative storm hits us, the grid's going to have a hard time.
Yeah, and not only that, Elon Musk's lost, I think, 19 satellites. He went offline there last week or 2 weeks ago. He lost a few of them.
I think even maybe a bit further than that. It was like what I read was 89 satellites went down, but I'm not sure if they were all like Elon's, but 89 satellites went off.
Wow, that's a lot.
So that's a lot.
All that space junk up there. My God.
And if they only knew what to do with it, they could program that stuff so easily with signals, and they could like have their own network just based on the space debris.
Yeah, but when you get a CME, a coronal mass ejection, hit it, it's fried. It's gone.
They use it to bounce the signal, so it doesn't matter. It's used as hardware, and it's not necessarily used as a. It's like a
Oh, I see.
reflector.
Oh, I
You
see
know?
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know in 2012 we got hit by a quite large CME in northern Quebec here in Canada. There was a town, I forget the name of the town, but their power grid got fried and they had to rebuild the grid. It took them almost a month to rebuild the grid in this small town. But that was a result of a direct hit of a CME.
Yeah.
So, and from what I know, Canadians' power grid is about 10 to 20 years ahead as far as like when it comes to safety. So I know the U.S. power grid. Actually, I know somebody who works for the U.S. Power distribution in California, and he has, they call it where he works. They call it Command Central, and they you know they they scan all the different areas of California, what power is coming into California, what power is going out of California. They track all the power distribution, so it can be very volatile because if you have one side go down, it can affect the entire grid throughout all connections. And when we had that giant power failure back in 2003, it was in August, where basically the whole eastern seaboard, right from Georgia all the way into Quebec and Ontario, was completely in the dark. So apparently, the power failure supposedly happened in Canada. They're blaming us for it. But because of that power failure, it cascaded all the way through the network, all the way down the eastern seaboard. So it, it can affect the entire chain, right?
That's
So
amazing. That's
it
amazing. Like it's a cascade.
Yeah, it's a cascade
It's a
effect. Yeah.
cascade.
And I remember it well. Like where I lived at that time, we had no power for, yeah, it was just over a day with no power. Like we're worried that we were going to lose our food in the fridge and stuff like that. It caught everybody off guard. It's like, you know what? This is kind of a wake up call. We get hit by one good CME, uh, we got major problems because you got how many nuclear power plants in the U.S.? What, 50, 100, something like that?
not
Oh,
even.
I have no idea.
okay, so say you guys have 50 nuclear power plants in the U.S. and we get hit by a giant CME. All those power plants go Fukushima on you, all at the same time. Because if you don't have electricity, you can't keep the reactor cold. If you lose all your power, you have not enough backup to shut those reactors off before they go supernova.
Well,
So
when
that's
the electricity goes down to these reactors, the control rods get dropped because they're magnetically suspended. So
oh,
to keep them operated and on, you need electricity. But when you lose electricity to the system, they automatically shut off by drop because uh, electromagnets holding those control rods drop.
right.
And so
Hmm.
I worked
It's
in
good.
the specialty alloys that actually makes those control rods, and I found out from that job that they are more safe than what public perceives them to be, and especially low energy nuclear reaction stuff that's more in today's realm of physics. That
Yeah,
I heard that apparently from Bob Greener that the Department of Energy now wants to support Leonard. So I think things
yeah,
are changing, and
that's
I
good.
think the grid getting shut down, like you were saying, and our vulnerability is a big wake up call, especially because of the scalar technology that various countries have, like the Russians and
Right. And
like
Chinese
I'm
probably.
yeah, the Chinese too, probably
Do you know
because
like there's something called the Demon Core, like part of the Manhattan, I think, project, and like the scientist got radiation poisoning and died because he was
Yeah.
trying to wedge or he wanted to etch to stop the nuclear whatever,
Yeah.
like a screw. Yeah, and then somehow it slipped out of his hand. The thing collapsed, and it just shot like a huge dose of radiation on him. But
Yeah.
then I think that was it's called the Demon Core.
Well, Ontario Hydro made a big headline this week. They've perfected their micro nuclear reactors now. So you can basically put one of these reactors in an average size factory. So you don't need a ginormous facility that would take 10 years to build. Now they've got these reactors small enough now that you can strategically put these anywhere in the city as long as it has a water, source to keep the reactor cool. Boom, you can hook it right up. It would only take about a month to hook one of these systems up. So yeah, a lot smaller in scale, yes, but nuclear energy, yes. The technology's it's just getting better and it's getting smaller, more modular. So there is, a future for nuclear, I think, but I think they should try to go towards thorium, a thorium reactor, because you don't have the nuclear waste problem. You don't have to worry about burying this stuff for the next 10,000 years because it's so highly radioactive.
I wouldn't want it for the future generations. It's not necessary on this planet.
Well,
It's
you know
like
what,
anything.
Lulu, we know better than them, but they're going to go their own way with this energy stuff. They'll use whatever they think is going to be the best for all, right?
We
You know,
Well,
already like have tried that, and we had like mass casualties because like what, we haven't learned the lesson. Like, what is it? It's funny.
It's, well, it's like even where they built these nuclear reactors, like Fukushima was built like on the worst possible area. Okay, the only reason they put it there was because they had access to the ocean, right? As far
The
as the water,
satellite
we have
imagery still picks up radiation in the water. It's
oh
like the
yeah,
like yeah, like
oh
till now.
yeah, like our nuclear reactor that we have in Pickering, Ontario, it's built on a fault line. Now, what rocket scientist decided to build a nuclear reactor on a fault line? Like, what were they thinking? Like, I can't understand why you would build a giant nuclear power plant on a fault line. It just blows my mind why they
Does
would do that.
energy pass more through on a fault line than anywhere else, or no? Like, is it a
Okay,
natural energy corridor, a fault line?
no,
No.
that fault line, if it ruptures, you got a major earthquake and say goodbye to your nuclear power plant. So why would you build a nuclear power plant on a volatile piece of land?
I have an answer for that. And my answer is that the oil companies benefit from various nuclear disasters because it creates propaganda out of it. And that's why we've had Chernobyl and
Yeah,
Fukushima, because that was intentional. And it was
yeah,
intentionally set up so that the oil companies can reign, right? Because 2/3 of the power production where I
yeah,
live, even though I live in a hydro state, is still
right,
coming from coal and natural gas, right? And
yeah,
so I think that's the real agenda behind it. And a lot of these older nuclear technologies aren't that safe. But when you look at Martin Fleischmann's work and the Martin
yeah,
Fleischmann Memorial Project by Bob
yeah,
Greenyer, you
yeah,
see that the outputs from these reactions are everything that plants need and love and thrive on. So you could
yeah.
actually make a hydroponic system and a low energy nuclear reactor that is coupled to the environment, getting more excess charge accumulation to be harnessed and utilized while simultaneously feeding plants inside of a house to where you could have your walls living, growing food, and power at the same time.
Yeah. See, the problem is I solely believe in a decentralized power system. I always have, always will, because the government wants to control your power distribution. So if we're misbehaving, what do? Shut our power off. And then we can't do anything about it. We put too much power, no pun intended, to the government. If you go on a decentralized system where everybody is energy independent on their own, if things happen, cataclysms or natural disasters or whatever, you can worry about your own power grid. You're self-sustaining. I just believe in a decentralized system. That's my opinion.
Me too. I'm right there with you. And that's why I'm passionate about this stuff, because everything is connected to power, the cost of literally everything and our sovereignty. And I don't think we have sovereignty anymore in the United
No,
States.
we don't. We don't have sovereignty in the world. So the problem is the oil companies have got so powerful, and all the companies that are affiliated with these guys are so powerful that they can influence governments, influence policy, influence our sovereignty, if you want to call it sovereignty. Too much power in one person's hands is dangerous.
See, sometimes some of these laws that come out, it's not fair. Like something comes out, it's logically or historically, it took time for it to trickle down to the individual before it was, it becomes a permanent law. With today's day, something comes out, you don't know that, like we're not glued to the TV as, people. We're not every little law that comes out, so we assume on precedents and no, it's okay, whatever it is. All of a sudden, a lot of the things that are, we thought were our, freedoms aren't freedoms. They're not freedoms
Yeah.
anymore.
No, yeah.
From the smallest of scales, like, now, for example, if you receive a citation and if you refuse to sign it, you get arrested.
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Because, they need you to sign this. Back in 2020, that you had the right to refuse not to sign a citation, and that was, part of your constitutional rights. Now it's they can arrest you if you don't sign a citation. So, a lot of our civil rights are being diminished. That's honestly.
It's all being eroded.
Yeah.
And when you have, say, 5 major corporations in the world control everything, that is so dangerous for society. It really is. Because if you take away the lifeblood of these cartels and start generating your own power, running your own house, providing electricity for your own vehicle, you're energy independent from the system. So when we talk about free energy, everybody thinks it's you're getting free energy from the space. No, that is totally wrong. What free energy is not having to pay for it. That's where everybody's gone wrong. Free energy means energy independence, being able to generate your own energy yourself without having to use the exchange of currency to get it. If you're generating your own power yourself, that's what free energy is. Everybody says free energy. Oh, you're getting free energy out of the air. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're breaking the laws of physics. No. The tech part, okay, we understand what the tech part is, but the free part, everybody gets wrong all the time. And when people say, oh, yeah, free energy, I cringe every time I hear it, because they don't know what free energy really means. Free energy means energy independence. That's it.
And they probably also don't know that every battery with its dipole is already getting energy from the vacuum, and that's how it's really working. And all the wires of the grid are a dipole, which is transmitting energy via the vacuum. And they don't know that every generator with its dipolarity is already an over-unity generator with more output energy than what it took to put in. They just loop it back to where they're magnetically breaking every generator to where, and they're switching it in such a way that they're losing 2/3 of the energy in transmission. But if they just had basically no current until the load, all the wires would basically be open to the environment and superconducting basically. And then the scalar waves would collapse at the load and then generate the current there where all the heat is. And there's no problem there because then it actually gets used at the source where you need it to. And like the whole thing is set up for us to fail. And the reason I say that is because I live in a place where, you know, I was renting a house and I was generating my own power, doing what you were talking about, and reducing my power bill and try not to backfeed because I'm not allowed to, because they won't let me have a backfeed permit as a renter, you know. And then the power company hits me up and calls me up and puts the thing on my door, and people start coming around my house and checking my meter at nighttime and all this stuff to and I'm like, guys, let me apply for a backfeed permit. You know, I'll go crazy on it and I'll provide energy to the grid that's phase locking. Let me do it. And they just wouldn't let me do it. You have to be a homeowner, which means you have to get a mortgage, which means you have to be in debt, which means you're contributing to the gangbangsters and their profit. So it's all set up to fail, to trap you in a system.
It's 100% agree with everything you've said. As far as the energy part in a generator, the generator doesn't create power. The energy around the coil is already there. The only thing you're doing is taking a magnet and brushing it by the coil. Everybody thinks that energy is being drawn into the coil. No, the energy is already there. All you're doing is taking a magnet and running it by the coil and creating a current of the power that already exists around the coil. The coil's not
good point.
Exactly.
So it's like a differential between the two frequencies.
You're just manipulating the energy that's already there. You know, even having charged particles and the atmospheric energy being drawn into it afterwards. Definitely, that's happening after. But my point is, the energy's already in the coil. We don't see it because there's no current moving. There's no voltage reading. You only get the effect is when you put that magnet across the coil fast, which creates a current. The voltage or the power itself is already in the coil. This is where people have to look at a different way of looking at things. The energy's already there. The generator doesn't generate nothing. All it's doing is creating a differential of the field around the coil. That's all it does. It doesn't actually generate power. You cannot generate power. You're creating an archway and a differential of the magnet going across the magnet. And that's
I have a question. Is there anything that can be like a camera, some kind of whatever, like that you could see that energy field without it being attached to anything, that it has its own, is there
I don't think,
anything?
not that I know of visually can see it, but you can definitely see it on a meter.
Yeah, on a meter, but like, can that be converted into a visual format? Like,
I'm not sure. Elijah, do you?
Well, you can see the magnetic component with like a film of ferrofluid or with like iron filings, like, under an acrylic sheet or something, or a box.
Like for example, how thermal cameras, you could see the heat signature, right?
Yeah.
Is there some kind of something that you could see that, in that sense, like
If there was
comparatively?
Lulu, I would be the first person to buy that device. I'll tell you right now, if they actually had something that could actually see that, I would be the first person to buy it.
Well, it's digital conversion of what it, so they take the digital reading of the magnetic poles but then convert it into how you could see it on, an image. Let me think about it a little bit more, but I'll get there with the idea.
Well, what part are you trying to see? Like current
Its own energy field.
She
Without
wants
it,
to actually see the energy around the coil.
because
yeah.
energy takes on many forms, right? So it's going to be hard to not reduce it into various different forms, right?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I need a little bit more time to think about how that, convert.
But you can see on Bruce Sees All channel the infrared light emission lobes of the orb craft flying around. So if you had an infrared camera, you can see these craft fly.
Right.
If that helps.
Yeah.
There's another good point you made.
Yeah, but I was more thinking like the like how they say auras, okay, that energy field, to see that it's active on its own and generating energy, an energy field around it, versus like if it has no energy, like an inanimate object.
It's part of the visual light spectrum. So our visual light spectrum that we can see, I believe, is 550 to 750 nanometer. Now, if you go below 400 nanometer, you cannot see it. Now, know your remote control that you use to turn your TV on and off?
Yes.
Okay. If you point it at your face and click the button, you can't see the light. But you take your cell phone and do that at your cell phone, guess what? You can see the light. Apparently, the camera in your cell phone can pick up below 400 nanometer. Now, remember I had those UFO pictures from the summer? I found out because my cell phone could pick up a visual spectrum below 400 nanometer, that's why I was picking up the little guys. Because they're in a different light spectrum. So
yeah, I was thinking the field around it would get distorted. So the matrix of the field around it wouldn't make sense. You understand? Like it's the lattice energy structure of it wouldn't the waveform wouldn't be what it should be. It would like concave on itself.
Interesting. That'd be interesting to see that. But I know from like when I was taking those pictures of the orbs that day, when to my eye, I couldn't see a damn thing. I could only see it after I took the picture on the phone because my phone picks up lower than a 4 nanometer light spectrum, where my eyes can't do that. I'm locked into a window about that big.
It's like a tube. Okay, like how the little inflatable, like the little circular tubes, it would be like around it, but so the thickness of the field would be distorted because it's like it's collapsing in on itself.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like the natural cascade, but it would be more like rounded, like inwards. So the whole like arc of that energy field wouldn't follow a straight line. It would follow like a straight and then curved, and it would feel like it's falling back down, like distort that.
Elijah, can cats pick up this spectrum? Somebody's saying cats might be able to see a lower visual light spectrum than we can.
I'm not really sure, but my inclination says yes, because I've had cats all my life, and I own a cat currently right now. And she looks at things like inquisitively all the time, where I'm like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
And I try to figure it out. And like when I was doing my scalar electromagnetic field experiments, she'd like come over and like check things out and like look at it and be looking around the room. And like I'd go like get shocked or something, and I'd go outside and like the birds would like follow me around. Like it was super weird, but like they'd like come up close to me and like hop down the trail if I was walking down a trail or whatever. Like
maybe you charged yourself with the Orgon. I wonder if
Mythology
intelligence.
says that cats are interdimensional creatures. So, go from there.
Well, I find cats kind of interesting because if you look at their eyes, they're the only animal other than a snake that has a similar eye formation. Their iris is shaped up and down. It's not like ours is round. Their eyes have a different pupil. They're the only animal that with a pupil that shape is the feline. All other creatures, they all have round iris and pupils. I find that kind of interesting. So maybe maybe that's right. Maybe their eyes can pick up a visual light spectrum that we can't pick up.
Someone in the chat earlier was asking us if we knew about the Andre Rossi ECAT circuit.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't, but maybe you guys do.
I've watched. He's kind of gone silent lately. I haven't seen him lately, and Mr. Rossi actually doesn't live that far away from me. He lives about 40 minutes away from me. So I tried to contact him before, and I never got an answer back. I don't know if he's all wigged out because somebody near him, but I just never got any feedback from him. So
That's a bummer because you guys are so close.
I know, like he's literally 2 towns away from me. So it's really weird. I did reach out to him, but I never got a response. So maybe he just thinks I'm a schmuck or something. But
Jack Surfati got to him.
yeah, maybe.
Just kidding.
Maybe a lot of people think I'm a schmuck, but that's okay. I do my own thing. But yeah, Lulu, I'm going to scoot out here for a quick smoke. You and Elijah can chat it up, and I'll be right back.
Sounds
All right?
good.
Okay, I'll be back.
Elijah, you were a material scientist, right? Or something like that? Or
I can't classify myself as one, but material science is kind of like my hidden passion and was my favorite class in college in engineering. So I've taken a liking to it, and I have worked in specialty alloys, and I do try to continue to study that sort of stuff. Like right now, I'm trying to learn more about phase conjugate mirrors and what materials can do that. Because I'm reading Tom Bearden's Energy from the Vacuum book that someone shared with me, and so I've posted that on my profile under posts, as well as a couple other books like Gravitobiology, which is also basically a paper written off of Tom Bearden's work, and then there's a third book that I'm also reading, which is based on magnetism, and I believe I also posted that on my profile. So it's for anyone, if they want to download it for themselves, they can pursue it. And I think magnetism is really fascinating to me because, well, for one, it's something that like people take for granted, but I feel like there's a deeper like elements to it, like especially when you start to look at like Sparky Sweet's work and what he was doing, and like the basically the magnet can be pulsed, and the pulsating magnet can like match the loading, and it just pulls mad power out of the vacuum. And I don't really know how that works, but I definitely want to.
very cool.
Yeah, when I worked in specialty alloys, the only other country that was making the same alloys as us were the Chinese, and they actually stole the technology from the Americans. And So they have some of that nuclear technology as well as us.
I believe you. I don't know for a fact, but I believe you. You know, if you're following it, definitely.
Right.
Remember, for whatever for us to, we have to go through so many hoops and loops to get to where we need to. Over there, they lift a lot of the, regulations in order to do things faster. So yeah, you have to take that also into consideration. You know.
Yeah, I feel like, unfortunately, like Tom Bearden said it 20 years ago or more, the inventor is kind of left in a position where all they have is information dissemination, because they will be thwarted and made poor, smeared, and some of them killed. And I've experienced all of that, besides the last one, of course. And so that's kind of why I do what I do, and I just try to push for information. And I'm trying to regularly write to my local representative in Congress and different people. And I think it does make an impact, because the deep state can't control the information, and they can try to delete the internet all they want, but they can't stop me from talking to someone at a gas station about something or whatever. And you never know who that person can be and what their connections are, and that butterfly effect can change the world.
I agree.
But yeah, what are you working on, and what is your passion?
Uh, I'm working on a lot of things, but my passion is maybe to create a better world for our future generation, to explore another solar system, to be able to apply the knowledge that we know is achievable towards better you know trajectories, rather than annihilating each other. Like, let's use it on some spaceship. Let's get to Alpha Centauri. Like, let's do something with it that gives our species hope for something different, other than we're stuck on this bubble all the time.
That's a difficult crossroads, because the same technology that can free us can also enslave us. And we are truly at the crossroads where we can make heaven or hell, and we can alter reality itself. And I truly believe that with this scalar technology.
Man, science is already there. Like, it's a state of mind. Like, if they would just, like, allow, okay, not on the bubble, like outside of the space for us to do this. It could be done, like have it banned on planet Earth. We're not going to
You
use it
know what?
on the planet. Yeah.
Technology is great, but as soon as you get an organization or a cartel get a hold of this technology and change it from good to an evil purpose, that's when the technology is almost like the enemy, right?
The problem, then, we're always going to be stuck in the Stone Age. You understand? Like, it's like,
Well,
we've
we
been
can
sitting
fairly
on things for like maybe over 50, 60 years. You know, we're
yeah,
not moving forward.
we can very easily bring ourselves back to the Stone Age. That's the scary part. Are we stupid
What,
enough to
like,
do it?
modern,
I hope
like,
not.
call it, right, to what we know, we currently are as if we're in the Stone Age. You understand? Like,
Yeah, but
comparatively.
well, compared to our society and the way we look at ourselves, we're technologically advanced. To other species that are out there, probably not. We're probably like uh, ants to them, you know, zoo animals, you know. But to us, we're pretty technologically advanced. We do have the capability of making ourselves go extinct. Yes, we do. Are we stupid enough to do it? I hope not. That's all I could say on that. I hope not.
All right.
In political terms, we need a skiff. before we can talk about the, like more of the details. We need a skip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think socially, I think our society is at a crossroads because now we have this AI creeping on us, which can be um, uncharted territory. I think our technology is going faster, evolving faster than we are as a species. So it's like giving an AK-47 to a 3-year-old, right? So, are we going to have enough mental capacity to know how to handle this technology? Oh, we lost Elijah. He dropped off. Oh, hopefully he'll jump back on. Yeah, it's like I
No
lost your.
comment.
Yeah,
No
comment.
comment. No comment.
So, yeah, that's my opinion. I think we've evolved faster than mentally we're able to be responsible and use the technology in a proper means, right? But yeah, we're in uncharted territory as far as technology. There's so much going on so fast. Things are being
The
developed
problem is
so
we're not
quickly.
having a unified group that is in charge, that has the wisdom, that supersedes any political power to make those decisions in the scientific community. Because science always will prevail any president, any tyrant, any dictator, any ruler, any. You understand? If the power of science doesn't yield to human orders or regulations or laws. You know, physics is physics. You drop something, it's gonna fall, or
Yeah,
it's gonna fly. It's not like even if somebody claims that they're God on the planet and comes says it's not gonna fly. If it needs to fly, it's gonna fly. Laws of physics, science doesn't yield to political power. Just remember
yeah,
that too.
yeah. Technology is going to continue to go forward if we like it or not. But
Absolutely.
but that could spell trouble for us as a society, right? Yeah. Oh, there he goes. He's back. He had dropped off there. You're back. Can you hear me, Elijah? He was there,
Hello.
but oh yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you.
Sorry, my phone suddenly died after that conversation. I was literally at such a high percentage. I don't know how it just died on me.
You're under attack. Scalar weapons
I don't know.
attacking. No.
I have experienced that before, and black goo came out of my hands and my feet.
What? Really? I've heard
Yeah.
about this black goose stuff. That's
Okay.
freaky. That's
Like, what happened exactly?
So I was sitting in my garage, and like my whole body started like going womp womp womp. Like how you shoot a gun and you feel the pressure wave through your body, but there was no sound. So it was
You're
kind of like
attacked.
that. And I was like watching a video on YouTube in my garage, and like I like look at my hands because I'm holding my phone. I can see my hands, and there's like black goo coming out of like the palms of my hands. Like I was like sweating, but I wasn't sweating, and so I started wiping them off on my pants and stuff. And
Yeah.
like same with my feet, it started coming out of the pores of my feet in like the middle of my feet. And so I'm like, what the heck? So I walk outside because I hear some airplanes flying by.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if they're going to blast me, here I am, right?
Yeah.
And so I walk outside, right outside of my garage. I literally just instantly open my garage and walk out. And I see two C-130s flying in like Gulf airspace, like really low. And they're like at a 45-degree angle to me on
Right.
like the horizon line. And they weren't very far away. and the two C-130s were like staggered to where they were like at a 45-degree angle to each other.
Right.
So they were just doing some like directed energy weapons on me with cross fields entrainment at the target, which was me. And
I've heard about
and I
this
was like,
5G stuff.
You see a blue grid, like your peripheral vision. When that happens, you see like as if it's like a holographic blue grid like around you. It has happened to me before, like, you know, for real. Like, and you look and you see a blue beam.
Wow, that's freaky.
I
Yeah.
haven't experienced that side effect, but I have experienced different other side effects. Like, you know, they've tried to put voices in my head with like directed energy weapons. They've tried to like scare me off in that way. Even my girlfriend at the time who was in the house was like, yeah, I did hear and feel that like womp womp womp. Like, what was that? I was like, that was a directed energy weapon. They fried my computer before doing that stuff. Like, I had to rebuild my motherboard.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. That was all this last summer in 2024. I experienced all that. They were making me sick for months.
Yeah, you think the military's out to protect you, not shoot weapons at you.
Either it was targeted towards you or they were doing like a field scan and you just happened to be in their way,
Wrong
you know?
spot.
Also,
But
because they do that, you know?
It was targeted because I was living in a compact residential area, and I had just talked to my dad where I'm like, I want to free the world of slavery. And then I watched Bruce Schwartz's last live stream before they killed him with a directed energy weapon, you know? And that was meant to scare me. And I was getting death threats on my phone, so they were trying to scare me too.
Oh,
And
really?
I'm like, my life is already living hell, you know? Like, what are you going to do? Kill me? That's great. Like, I don't care. And so they figured out that it wasn't working. And so they just started going after other people instead. And since then, I've tried to like lay more low, like try not to push it too much.
Yeah.
But
Or create a force
what-
field which you disrupt their signal no matter what.
You know what
Yeah.
you do? Years ago, they banned lead paint. All right? Get lead paint and paint the inside of your house with lead paint. That's why. Because with the lead paint, you're creating yourself a Faraday cage around your house. So if they shoot a directed energy weapon at you, the lead paint might be able to disperse that. So,
I live in an RV with lead paint because it's an old RV, and that works against the optical directed energy weapons. But for the non-optical version with the scalar component, where it actually is compressing the matter itself,
right.
that just goes right through the matter. And so, like, I don't really know how to disrupt that besides superimposing frequency, which is why I built the DeFi oscillator. In part, that's part of the reason why, is because I experienced those directed energy weapons. So I'm like, I'm going to build like a parametric oscillator type thing. Yeah. And sure, it looks all redneck and crazy with these water cells and whatever, but like all I needed it to do was just work, and it did. And, you know, I think it did protect me, and the necrosis on my foot did heal. And like, I was dilating time because all these live streams I was watching in my garage, right?
Yeah.
I had to watch it at 125% speed to stay alive. Otherwise, I'd fall behind.
What?
And my truck clock got modulated by multiple minutes. My girlfriend's car at the time, her clock was off. I would have my phone at 1% battery the entire time in my garage, and I could just hold my phone, and it would just inductively charge through my body through the phone case and stay charged.
Did they like radio activate you of some you know, somehow, like really for real? Like, did they expose you to like high radiation? I mean, that would be like the only. I mean,
No, I was creating displacement current with drift velocity. And so basically, I was using time reversal waves, negative entropy, and that's how I was able to light an LED just by touching the ground with my body or whatever, right?
Right.
And so it's kind of like the free energy that Nikola Tesla developed for the entire world, because these scalar waves will go around the entire world. And I figured out you can shake the water of the entire world as well and affect the global weather patterns.
wow, that's big. That's a big one. Like weather manipulation. Oh,
There was a guy that came out not too long ago. He worked as a chief firefighter at the South Pole. And he said they developed some energy weapons out there. They're like little soccer ball type devices. They were called DOMs. And they had several hundred of these and several kilometers around in a grid pattern. And they said when they turned it on the one time and put it at a certain scalar frequency, they triggered the big earthquake that was in Christchurch, New Zealand. And that was a result of that test, which was an accident. They didn't mean to do that, but that's what happened. So I'm wondering if that technology is something what they were using on you.
Something like it, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And to be an antenna to receive a signal, if you input energy, you become a transponder, right? It's that simple, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, negative entropy is only achievable with input energy from somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This mind blown. I can't believe that happened to you. But now there was a guy years ago. I heard this interview. I forget it was who did the interview. It was really old. It was probably from early 2010 time frame. And the guy was talking about his two sons. And his one son was an interesting guy. He was very mechanically inclined and liked to experiment. And at this time, they lived in Alaska. And he lived in like a trailer home. So it was insulated from the ground, had rubber tires. And he got a table in his kitchen and he covered the entire table with tinfoil. Then he got two glass containers, big glass jugs, or sorry, plastic containers, the ones you put, the spring water in, filled this up with seawater and hooked up an antenna that was an aerial that was on top of the roof of his motorhome. And he hooked up a Tesla type oscillator to this circuit. So it went from the antenna to the two bottles of water, came out, grounded to the table, and the table was grounded to the frame of the trailer home. When he turned this thing on, he was able to move the mouse on his computer screen just by his thoughts. He didn't have to use the mouse. And he'd have a pencil on the table, and him and his friends that were with him, they were able to move the pencil without touching it. And then they were going, this is crazy. Like, how is this possible, right? So they decided, let's just go outside for a second, take a look at the trailer. So they get outside, they look at the trailer from the outside, and it's got this blue corona all the way around the trailer. So that was pretty amazing to see this corona formed all the way around the steel trailer, right? So they go back inside and they decide, okay, if I can move the mouse with my mind, I can move a pencil with just my mind. Let's think of something that can happen. So they thought, okay, let's think of a powerful wind. So all of them just put their minds together and thought of a strong wind. Within 12 hours of them doing that, the area in Alaska had the biggest windstorm in recorded history, caused over $4.5 million of damage in that area where they lived. After that happened, the guy was so freaked out, he just took the device apart and never did it again.
I totally believe you for my own experiments, because one time I I was messing around with like sparks and thinking about the color of the sparks, and the color of the sparks would change with the color I was thinking of. And also another time I was like, why isn't this shocking me? Like out of the spiral coil that went out of one of my water cells, and I was like, it should be shocking me, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then I was like, darn it, shock me. And I thought that, and all of a sudden, boom, it shocked me, and my entire visual field went straight up green screen, like completely green. And it stayed like that for a couple seconds. And normally when you get shocked, your muscles tense up.
Right.
And this was a different kind of shock. It was like I couldn't see anything for a couple seconds. It just went green. And I thought I died. But then my visual senses came back to me, and I was like just sitting in my chair perfectly fine. I was like, okay, so it responds to my thoughts. I told it to shock me, and it did.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, what else can I do? And so once I figured out it was affecting the weather, I started thinking about, storms and whatnot. And
Yeah.
like, it definitely seemed to have an effect. And that also reminds me of the first time I ever prayed to God. I thought, I think God is real, but I wasn't really sure. I was like this 11-year-old kid, and it was snowing outside and stuff. And I was like, God, if you're real and you hear me, if I'm this little speck of dust that you can hear, can you please just let me know by like knocking me over with a gust of wind, so that I know that you hear me and that you see me. And instantly a gust of wind hit my chest and made me fall back on my butt.
Wow. That's wow.
Man, I could see the future, like, and I could predict it as well. That's the like with these things, they give you the ability to see things, or I don't know if or your mind creates it. Like, for example, I one time was standing in a line and there was like an opening, and I'm like, because I kept on seeing, this repetition of what my mind is thinking I'm seeing. It's like a mirror kind of, of the mind. And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna test it out. In this area, there should be like a mom with a stroller and a baby. And I swear to God, I hadn't even finished the thought. Within maybe less than a minute, a mom comes up and strolls with a stroller and stands at the exact spot where my mind, was testing this theory, and stood there with the baby in the stroller and another kid. She was holding another kid's hand. And I just, it was one of those moments where, like, my God, like, because I wanted to pick something not harmful, not something, just a sign, like a created sign.
Something that she would be able to pick up.
Yeah, like something very specific. And there wasn't any, like, she came from the door, there wasn't anybody around like that, and that. So it was just, let me see that. Right where, and I saw it. And I have a thing with lime green cars. Every time I think of a lime green car, I see one. Every time I think of a lime green car,
Yeah.
it's an automatic thing. So, yeah, like the mind, I think, does reflect the observable universe. Absolutely. You know, but to a certain degree, I don't think we're capable maybe of like
Well,
a lot of things, but subtle things, yeah. You know?
yeah. Well, I guess that goes to that question: where is our consciousness? Is the source of consciousness in our brain, or is it somewhere out there?
Well, I think we're amplifying it by using these devices
I think
around
we're
us.
I think we're like a radio. We're picking
Yeah,
up a signal where
maybe.
our soul is actually connected to. It's connected to the collective consciousness of the universe. Our body is just a receiver of that specific conscious signature that makes me different from you. And that's it. And then when we die, that connection is released through our chakra, through the top of our head, and it goes back to the collective consciousness.
Now, let's talk about like scientifically. How often has it happened to you guys where you think of something, but the next day it's all over your news feed? You just
Yeah.
think of it.
Yeah.
All the
Don't
time.
search it. You don't search it. You don't write. You don't let any digital format pick it up. Not your router. Not your no camera system. But just the thought. And then the next day, like it. So how do you explain that? Like, do you explain that already our like brain neurons are mapped out and they know
Are
exactly whatever,
connected to that collective consciousness.
you know? But there has to be a scientific foundation to that. It can't be just a random thing. There's no way it's a random thing because, it's too
Our minds are
precise,
connected. Our
you
minds are
know?
connected to the collective consciousness.
I think it's multifaceted in its answer. I think part of it is that everything is entangled together in some way, and that kind of forms that collective consciousness. And the nucleus of the atom observes the time reversal waves, and the orbital of the atom observes the time forward waves. And so we mostly process time linearly through the protium atom tunneling through the NH3 into the NH3 molecule, becoming NH4, and that forms a charm quark for information storage. And through that tunneling process, I think we start to tap unobservable things that are non-reductionist, but then we simultaneously are storing information in a more reductionist linear format of forwards time. And some people, can process time more non-linearly than others. And I think that also there's technology out there like AI that can map our brains, and the Wi-Fi is using nuclear magnetic resonance to watch us through the walls. And Palantir is a police state technology that would love to know your thoughts. And I do believe that they can use Wi-Fi and 5G to map and read our thoughts with artificial intelligence and these electromagnetic fields.
Right. There's one lady out there that I've been watching for a little while, and she's right on it. Her name is Sabrina Wallace. You might want to look her up. She's on Facebook as well as she is on YouTube. She did a live stream the other night, and she worked for one of these big tech companies that were working on this technology back in around 1997 timeframe, and what their motives were for actually connecting our biofield to the technology and doing a whole bunch of invasive stuff to our bodies, making us sick. And
yeah, and that's really what COVID vaccine. It's not really a vaccine, but that's what it's really about, right? Part of it is they're trying to turn off the gene responsible for critical thinking, but part of it is to build nanotechnology in our body, which actually goes into the chemtrail technology, because that's what's contaminating us with, aluminum oxide and silver. And then they use these materials and they structure them in the body in self-assembling robots. And they're literally using these.
So they
They're
bounce signals
literally
off
making
of people.
they're making
much.
transistors in us. They're putting transistors in us and putting them together with wires, and the bacteria form the wires, and that's what you're seeing in the snow of these webs. And
people are reporting that they cannot melt the snow. They'll put a flame to it, and instead of melting like water, it's melting like plastics.
Yeah.
And they were showing, I forget who posted it, but he actually had a graph, and he did spectral analyze the snow of heavy metals, radiation, everything, and the levels were just completely off the chart. Like they were like scary. Yeah. And
because they can create an endothermic reaction with the radar from airports, and the 1420 megahertz beams that were supposedly from World War II to find and watch for airplanes through clouds. Well, that doesn't make sense, because That's Wi-Fi, and it doesn't penetrate clouds. It structures the cloud, right? So they're actually using it for the Foo Fighters in World War II because they didn't know who was who, and so they're trying to down these craft. But then they figured out, oh wait, we can use this to induce the nucleation process of the endothermic reaction, like the lasers can create Bose-Einstein condensates, right? So, like by basically using the optical switching to minimize the global movement of the molecule so it nucleates, and that's how they can input energy, overcome the Gibbs free energy, and simultaneously create an endothermic reaction that becomes a positive feedback loop. And then that contaminates all of our food and our water and our bodies, and then they can make basically transistors in us that are uploading all of our bio hardware, like your heart rate, your blood pressure, your blood sugar. And apparently there's people that are in the grave now and they're still transmitting these signals because it's gone into their bones.
Right.
Man, that's scary. That's scary. Like, yeah, like using humans as, an antenna. you know, and-
Yeah.
I didn't get COVID, luckily, so they can't use me as a like a, a node point for their transmission. you know.
Somebody's saying my microphone's too low. Is it better now? I did an adjustment.
Oh, have you ever experienced before your phone rings, you see the energy of the
I
call
feel it.
coming?
I feel
Have
it.
you ever like actually seen it? It's like uh, a like it feels like it's a darker space of energy. Like the if I'm looking right here, but it would be like a cloudy, right? Like maybe a few seconds before the phone rings. I've seen it. So don't tell me that's not nothing. It's something. If it's if some part of my spectrum is picking it up, it has matter particles in it, and it's coming. So yeah, I mean it's high energy that they use in telecommunication. We're absorbing it absolutely.
Oh
Even
yeah,
just
the amount of electromagnetic energy that they're broadcasting at us. I was told it's like you might as well go on a Navy battleship and let the radar slam you in the face.
wow.
It is way beyond safe levels. It's like 1,000 times higher than what the IEEE regulation states. So, what are these regulations for? If Bell and Verizon and all these carriers have these cell phone towers and they're slamming us with electromagnetic frequencies way beyond the safe limits. Why are they doing this? Why are they able to get away with this?
I think it's just the more of the demand that we have, they have to, increase their energy to, because there's other signals cutting through. And so they keep on trying to outbeat each other. But where the people are, being caught up in the crossroads between, their transmissions,
We're
you
in
know.
this we're in this electromagnetic tyranny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
in the States, specifically my state of Oregon, November of 2024, they were trying to pass and allow all these cell phone towers to be installed on any residential building. How awful is that? And like people who say, oh, yeah, well, it's non-ionizing, so it's not harmful. That's not true at all, right? Like a microwave can be non-ionizing, but it sure
right.
can be destructive, right? And like
Oh,
a
yeah.
glass bottle, it's not going to affect it until you heat it up with the torch and it starts glowing. Well,
Yeah.
what happens when we're already like practically glowing hot from all these heavy metal poisons and plastics in us that are,
Yeah.
nuclear magnetically resonating with it, and like You know what I mean? It's like, wow.
Yeah. It's like, where do you hide? You know, they're bombarding us with, all the toxins in our food, radio frequencies, parasitic magnetic fields coming off our power grid. That's why you shouldn't live too close to a power line. It's causing cancers. Cancer is skyrocketing.
Even if you don't live next to one, all of a sudden one will pop up. So it's like, there's no way to like know, like what's going to happen. They decide at any moment however they want. I'm telling you, the rules, regulations constantly are changing to, at one point you think you're right and then it becomes you're wrong just because, they change things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe the aliens hide at the bottom of the ocean because they want to hide from all that nasty electromagnetic field stuff,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they're probably laughing at us. Yeah, let those idiots fry themselves. We'll be down here where it's all nice and safe.
right?
But
Yeah.
we get to enjoy the sun. They don't.
Yeah. Get bombarded by radiation day in and day
We get to, hear birds. We get to like live out in the open world. They don't. So, think of it like that too. So.
Yeah, but they're probably a lot healthier where they are than us being bombarded by all this crap.
Man, try to see a positive side to it.
Yeah.
But it could be healing frequencies, right? Like Tom Bearden wrote about.
Yeah, like my Renegade device, I've had some interesting stuff happen with that. And I can't really say it. I don't want to get blocked on YouTube, but I've had some interesting effects.
Imagine if it like you reverse your age, like age reversal, or you freeze your DNA in time. Like you don't age. You just say that's that.
There's people working on that stuff right now, Lulu.
That would be cool.
Fountain of youth, increasing our lifespan, and there's people out there working on this stuff. That's why we're in a time right now where technology is going like 40x fast. Things are happening so much quicker now. AI is going fast. Like they were saying, general intelligence wouldn't happen to say like the 2040s. Well, some of the top, engineers at Microsoft and Intel and all those guys, they're saying we'll have general intelligence before 2030. So, things are moving.
What if what we experience, what we're talking about earlier, like if you have a thought of something the next day you see it, as a suggestion, what if that's AGI? I mean, think about it. That is a form of, AGI. I mean, it's reading your thoughts. Well, it's like what could be more than that,
Yeah. As far as this AI actually having a soul, I don't believe it would ever have a soul. It cannot. Why? Because it's a machine. The only thing that can have a soul is a biological entity.
But remember, they're running these systems on brain cells, human brain cells, like.
Yeah, they're doing that too.
So,
I've seen there's a group out in
scary.
China. They're using human brain cells to actually run a computer interface.
Yes, whose brain cells? That's I always I wondered whose cells are they using? Isn't that kind of like trapping somebody's mind into the matrix?
They can take anybody. You know what? They can take anybody's cells and put it in a petri dish and grow it. They could take brain matter from anything, put it in a petri dish, and start growing brain matter.
I mean, wouldn't that be a form of enslavement though? Because once they grow it, then they know the pattern of
what we're doing, Lulu, is we're trying to play God.
In theory, wouldn't your own cells be entangled to you? So
sure
they take part of your cells and they.
I've heard
like if they subjugate them to stressors, wouldn't the
I've
normal,
heard,
you know,
yeah, I've heard of people that had, say, like a heart transplant, and they start having memories of the guy who doned the heart to them.
oh wow.
Now, is that freaky or is that freaky?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, the Y-Files did a video on that not too long ago.
Yeah, the Y-Files, I watch him too. I love his show. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's totally possible. So, biological matter is a lot more advanced than we give it credit to. It is maybe some of the most highest tech that we will ever encounter. Not just the machines and stuff we play with, but biological.
Yeah.
So now how that, in our society now, how it's being weaponized, where they're mixing technology with biological. Now you're getting into a realm of playing God. And where do we as a society draw that line of responsibility, of crossing that line?
Oh, they've crossed it long ago.
Yeah. And that's the scary
Like
part.
imagine all the like all the bad people in this world, they keep a specimen of their brain and then somehow, make them into a digital being, but still based on their like DNA in their brain cells, like their node points and things like that. It wouldn't have to take a lot. It would just, a little bit to
Yeah. They
yeah.
just need a little smidgen and they can grow your cells in a petri dish. Like we're playing God here. Like like you could go back to the Bible if you want to, in the days of Noah, where all this stuff seemed to be going on. You had Nephilim, you had the giants, you had all this crazy witchcraft going, and God just finally had it and said, you know what? We're going to wipe the slate clean. So are we are we living in the days of Noah again?
I don't know if you believe the whole thing that Earth is going to lose gravity for 7 seconds in August 12th, at 14:33 UTC time. I
You
remember
know what?
reading this.
I take that as the same one that Nibiru is going to come back.
Yeah, but I
Until-
really watched something that makes sense. They said that they've known about this since 2019. It's not something that's new, but they kept it as a hush hush. It's actually a gravity wave that's coming from a black hole, two of them, and it's going to clash where Earth is. So there's going to be two opposing waves that cancel each other out, and that's why they're speculating for that 7 seconds Earth is going to lose its gravity. That makes sense, but I don't know.
Well, when that happens, all I got to say is I hope I'm in the house when it happens.
The project is called like Project Anchor, so suggestion, anchor yourself to something stable. Word.
Yeah,
I was thinking of those bubbles, those plastic big bubbles. So if some really, I really was thinking, I'm like, this is gonna be so cool if we could do this. Like, get this plastic, like, the ones that have like thickness, sit inside of them and see if they
Lulu?
float. Great, they float. If they bounce back, nobody gets hurt. They just
Lulu,
Yeah.
we're in the last minute here. I have to close the stream so I can do the cutting of the video. Everybody, thanks a lot. We'll see everybody next Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern. Elijah, stay online after we go off. I want to chit chat for a few more minutes. Lulu, same thing. And thanks everybody. We'll see everybody next Friday.
Thank you, everyone.
Copy.